speaking of crusty toes and Jarrett Genesis and shooting people and father's guns, up for review is this Cobra 12 gauge flare gun. This is a little bit more advanced than the typical plastic 12 gauge Orion flare gun. Basically, simple. You put the cartridge in, and then you kind of this whole spring loaded. Pull it back. You point really up. Fire. But today we're gonna review this thing. It's sort of a crude way to open this and close this barrel. Unlike that one, that other thing that doesn't have a safety. This does. And the way you work it is when this is up, you can't pull the trigger, you can't pull the hammer. It's actually holding the hammer. So pull the hammer back, push this down. It's a crude thing. Make sure this ain't in the way. And then now you can Oh, I made sure I fired one from this. Just want to make sure it wasn't a loaded one. Um, just press this down and ready to fire like that. And when you're done, you gotta press this again. This time I gotta do the other side here. There we go. Press this down. That's the safety. And with this, when you press it the other way around, it holds this firing pin. When you unlock the safety thing, as far as firing this thing, it releases the pin all the way down to where the primer is. To get it back to safety, basically in a way that you can just load it safely, you pull this back and press on this, and then it holds this firing pin. Now, since we got that, we're going to open this up here. We just take two hands and hold both sides of these things. And we're going to... Give me a second here. I don't think the safety thing all the way in. That's what's the problem. There we go. There we go. I got it. Give me a second. What in the fuck? Okay. What happened was this wasn't all the way in flush. This has to be flush all the way in, or else you won't even be able to open this barrel. So I'm gonna take two of our hands, and we're gonna just take it out. Here's our used 12 gauge flare shell right here. This is a nice plastic material, they say. And you pull this back basically the same way as you open it. Pull these two back. See this? Pull this back here. And then carefully, when you pull it back, just tack that down. And then release the spring-loaded piece. And when you release it, it locks up like this. So, unlike the plastic one, where you get somewhat, it's easy for this to probably recoil, which that never happened. This has a lock right here, and it's all controlled by this and this crude little thing. So it's really cool. It's heavy too. It's a lot smaller than the Orion flare gun. This is one thing I don't understand is you have to pull this trigger 2 times in order for this to really fire. Sometimes the first trigger, it may not go off if you shoot the flare up in the air, but the second trigger, it'll go off. That happened on 2 rounds, basically. The first round I threw in the trash because I wanted to get the second round and keep it and recycle it, where I can make my own cap gun out of this just by taking primers out of here and replacing them with new primers. Simple as that. I had never done it before, but I was curious because I found like a site where you can buy 12 gauge primers and shit. The little igniters. They're really not more of a big caps, but nonetheless. Um, this is the Orion, not the Orion. This is the Cobra launcher. It's a crude way of opening this thing and loading this thing, and somewhat, I guess you got to have good finger control so you don't accidentally slip and the hit an actual live round and let it go off somewhere other than the sky, which is bad, and you can probably get in serious trouble with that. Um, this is as close to, I guess, owning a firearm as you can get, as these do not require a firearms license. They just require common sense, ages 18 and up. But it's a nice, sturdy little motherfucker. I will say this. Now I've heard this. I heard this too, which I can't try it because I'm not legally licensed to do it. But you can take this orange barrel out, and I think you can put another kind of barrel that actually shoots regular bullets, as opposed to what this was really made for in terms of shooting the flares. I can't do that because if I take this and add something where I can put live rounds in it, that'll be me having a possession of a weapon, which is against the law. So, it's against the law without a license. And in New Jersey, especially whenever you own a weapon, and I don't own no guns or nothing. I don't even have a license on a gun. But I know from reading on the internet that when you own a gun, you got to register every model that you own, and each license has to contain. You have to register several licenses for each model. So in other words, if you have two guns, you got to have two licenses based on those two guns. So it's not like you can have one license and own several cars. It's not like having a license where you can own a car. In this state, they want to know what gun you own and a license for it so they can keep control or some shit. I think it's a bunch of crock. But what I'm concerned about that for, I don't even want a gun because there's really no place, and I don't have the money or the place to do what I want to do as far as target practice. If I were to own a gun, hypothetically speaking, I would own one of those Western rifles. I like those. You ever watch this show on TV? Sometimes it's called Rifleman, and he has this kid on the side of him, and I guess the character's name is Paul. The guy that is called Rifleman, Rifle. So I like to own one of those old Western rifles. And as far as a pistol, I like to own one of those 1800 ones. I mean the kind that take black powder, not the kind that take like that smokeless powder. And the reason is because I don't know why, but I kind of like the old days of watching certain television shows. And I just got this show on MeTV, which they show classic stuff. It's sort of like the modern TV land. They actually show the Flintstones, and then they show this Rifleman character. I'm thinking on New Year's Eve I can pretend I'm Rifleman, Rifleman, and I can't play with this, but I can definitely, since I can't light up And there's no space to light up those rockets that you use to launch firecrackers up in the sky. This will be close to it, you know. All you have to do is point at an open sky away from power lines, which where I shoot is always responsibility and common sense first. Um, Thank you for watching. Oh, also before I go, you get this box here. It's kind of a crappy box. It just says Model D. I guess this was built. It says Long Colt 45. What is that supposed to mean? Wait a minute. This is based on another model. This is not a Long Colt 45. This is a flare launcher. Okay. That's strange. Got some kind of step-by-step instruction manual. They did include it. It did include it, and it does say 12 gauge marine flares. It says approved as a non-gun by BATF. Barrels considered DuPont. I can't read. Always engage safety on before operating or closing the barrel or barrel latch. And one of the things it tells you in the instructions is in order for you to really use this gun, you have to activate this safety thing, which I showed earlier. Thank you for watching.